Good afternoon, fellow Rotarians and guests. We're looking forward to another amazing Veterans Day program. And what a special program that we traditionally have every year for our club. I'm absolutely looking forward to it. To get us started is our greeter, Bob Gerst. Bob.
Welcome, everyone. Have you ever noticed that Mike Johnson is the only one that eats during these luncheon meetings? We need to start eating just a little bit more, and it's okay to talk with each other. But we're so glad that that you took the time to be with the greatest Rotary Club in the world, the Downtown Yakima Rotary Club. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Bob. We Rotarians are going places. And today we want to welcome guest, our Yakima City Manager, Bob Harrison is on with us. Welcome, Bob. As we continue to move forward through the agenda, we've got music that David Rogers has selected. David.
Thank you, President Jennifer. Many of you will remember 3 or 4 years ago, we had a guest sing the national anthem at the beginning of one of our meetings in the dark ages when we were doing this in person. He was in town to perform on a concert with the Yakima Symphony Orchestra called Sports Orchestrated, because while he's a trained opera singer and actually did an operatic aria during that program, which was connected to the World Cup in the 1990s, his day job is the official national anthem singer of the Chicago Blackhawks. And he's very special to us here in Yakima because he's a graduate of Sunnyside High School and attended Yakima Valley College and studied music with our founding music director, Brooke Creswell. In addition to his singing, he's very active with Veterans Affairs, and I thought it would be appropriate today to share a video he created in support of wounded veterans. This is a project he was involved with in Illinois. So here is Jim Corneliuson, our Yakima Valley native, singing Danny Boy.
Oh, Danny boy, the pipes are calling from glen to glen and down the mountainside. The summer's gone and all the roses falling. 'Tis you must go and I must bide. But come ye back when summer's in the meadow. When the valley's hushed and white with snow, 'tis I'll be here in sunshine or in shadow. Oh, Danny boy, oh, Danny boy, I love you so. And when you come and all the flowers are dying, if I am dead, as dead I well may be, you'll come and find the place where I am lying, and kneel and say above me, and all my dreams will warm a sweeter peace. If you'll not fail to tell me that you love me, I'll simply sleep in peace until you come to me. Oh, Daddy boy, oh, Daddy boy, I love you so.
Absolutely beautiful selection, David. Thank you for sharing that with us. Next up, we've got a recorded invocation from Jan Luring.
Good afternoon, dear friends, fellow Rotarians, guests, all of you out there. Thank you for listening to me today, and thank you for dealing with all this in unprecedented times. Our unruly, divisive politics, our coronavirus and the illness that has been put upon people. Oh my goodness, and our economy. And what do we say about that? Well, the only thing I can say that I feel mostly is that we live in a democracy and still one of the greatest countries in the world. And we have to be grateful for that because we get to choose. We always have hope. We always have dreams for a better future. We always manage to rise above. We just do, no matter what our aspirations and our feelings about what's going on in our country. We still shore up and do our best. But because of our democracy, we have the right to choose whether to pray or not. Lots of countries don't. Lots of people in this world don't have that choice. So I'm asking you to choose to pray with me today. Or you can take a nap while I pray, or you can go to the bathroom. You can do whatever. That's the fact of your living in the United States of America. So let's start with being grateful for that. And I now come to you asking you to bow your heads in prayer. Father, we come to you today for your help in unifying our country. Grant us peace, safety, health, wisdom to make good decisions, and respect for differences. May we remove passion, prejudice, and selfish views. May our hearts be filled with love, mercy, and compassion for others. May we continue to help those less fortunate than ourselves. And let us focus on our blessings and all that's good in our lives. Fill our hearts with love and laughter in spite of ourselves. Heal the sick and wounded. And let us always treat others as we want to be treated. If we follow these guidelines, Father, we can all make this world a better place. In your holy name we pray. Amen. And I would like to close with something I saw on Facebook, and I'm going to copy it and hang it in my house. I'm very tearful right now with everything that's going on in our society. It's hard, and I know it's hard for all of you. So I want you to think about this. You may have already read it many times yourself. Cherish every moment and every person in your life, because you never know when it might be the last time you will see that someone. Life is so fragile. Never take anything for granted. Have a good day. Thank you.
Well, those are beautiful words from Jan. I'm so glad that she would share them with us today. Next, I get to make a couple of different announcements to you. You know, it really wasn't until I served on the board of directors that I understood the structure of our Rotary Club financials. And I wanted just to make sure that you were aware of it too. You might often hear at nonprofit organizations that often they're asked what percentage of their gifts that they receive go to supporting administration. But you know, our club years ago had the really wise foresight to actually separate those two items. That we've got two budgets. One is called the club budget, and the other is our Rotary Charities budget. And that's so that all of the charitable giving through Rotary Charities goes straight out into supporting the community, not administration. The club budget is what is used to support administration, including salaries and office expense, as well as committee work. So the club budget is supported, of course, by dues and meals. I mention that because your Rotary Board of Directors has again extended an offer to you to continue to pay dues and meals expense, even though we're not meeting in person. The income from your meals supports the club administration, including our upcoming office move to the beautiful new building on the YBC campus. The charities budget is used for all that charitable giving that we do, from academic and vocational scholarships to our club projects like the MLK Junior Park Playground, as well as the upcoming Rotary Playground at the Greenway. It also supports our World Service projects. The charities budget is supported and funded by Sergeant-at-Arms fines, sales of Rotary Centennial wine, general donations, and typically our fall auction that of course has moved to March 27th, 2021. Since our auction has been postponed this year, there's a new way to support Rotary Charities, and that is the feast, from west to east. It's a little hard to see that. Now you can see it. So you did receive this postcard in the mail. On the back are the various instructions with which to RSVP for this event. As you can remember, it is not only a dinner that is prepared by the Fat Pastor that you pick up at the Lab restaurant that's at 901 Summit View, but also Rotarians celebratory Centennial wine that is along with that. And then after you pick that up, you go home and turn on the computer and zoom in with Sean Niles of the Fat Pastor, as well as with Gilbert Sellers winemaker Justin Newfield, to hear about how the wine and the food are pairing and to receive some tasting notes on that. So again, that event is on the 13th of November and our RSVP deadline is coming up on Monday. So please talk to friends if you want to open your home and have a few friends socially distanced join you in person, but certainly be sure to take advantage of the opportunity to support Rotary Charities with that. So with that, next up is John Ball to talk about a World Community Service project that's on the calendar. John.
Hello, everyone. Glad to have you all here again today. I'm just here really to remind you, I think all of you have heard about the school supply project. We're sending school supplies to a school in a remote part of Colombia. We fortunately have a courier, so it makes it safe that it's going to get there. And he is going in the first part of December. So all of you haven't, Daryl dropped off some things yesterday and other people have been dropping things off, but if you haven't and have some time and some energy to pick up some colored pencils, erasers, markers, everything that's kind of on the list that Carolyn set out to you, that would be really great. I could be happy to pick them up if you would give me a call, or it's just as easy to drop them off at my, there's a table by my front door and you could drop them off there. And this wretched cat will not take them because she is outside, he is inside and they will be outside. So we'd really appreciate that. And so we can get them all ready and be ready to go by the 1st of December. So thank you very much.
All right, thank you, John. It's always nice to see the kitty cat too.
Yeah.
So in addition, of course, to the good work that our club does, the Rotary International Foundation does amazing work around the world. So here to tell us a little bit more is John Cooper.
Hello, Rotarians. I'm holding up at this time $26, or I did, $26.50. Now, to you and me, that's not a lot of money, but in 1917, that was a huge amount, as the average US hourly wage was just 22 cents an hour. So $26.50 represents almost a month of earnings. And why is $26.50 significant? Because that's the first donation made to the newly formed Rotary International Foundation back in 2017. Now, fast forward to 2020, the foundation in its 100 plus years has received more than $1 billion in donations. November is Rotary Foundation Month, a time when we reflect on the value of the foundation and encourage all Rotarians to donate. The foundation transforms your gifts into projects that change lives both close to home and around the world. As the charitable arm of Rotary International, we tap into a global network of Rotarians who invest their time, money, and efforts to approach challenges around our neighborhoods as well as around the world, such as poverty, illiteracy, and malnutrition, with sustainable solutions that leave a lasting impact. Give and become part of Rotary's life-changing work. You can do that through a donation at rotary.org, contribute, or Carolyn can help you set up means to donate as part of your dues. Now at this time, I'd like to show you a video that helps to illustrate all the work that the foundation is doing.
Thank you, John Cooper, for that wonderful portrayal of the foundation's good work. That video is just so heartwarming. Thank you for sharing it. Next, we've got our Sergeant at Arms, Casey Core. Casey.
Hi, everybody. So I'm standing here at the virtual White House briefing room. There's nobody here in the building. I think they're all over at the lawyer's office. So go to your chat screen, because I'll be watching your answers. Dwayne's going to be my Vanna White here and operate the slideshow. Okay, yes, things are working. So this has been a wonderful campaign. You can, but you know, so far it really didn't end this way. Next slide, Dwayne. Next slide. Yeah, it didn't end this way. It ended more like, next slide, more like this. And how much money was spent in this campaign? Well, the latest estimate is $11 billion just on the presidential race, counting the two candidates and independent expenditures and all the rest. Okay, so Why do it? Why does anybody want to run for the presidency? Well, the real reason is you want to earn a place in the Yakima Rotary presidential trivia contest that we have when I'm Sergeant of Arms. So let's get ready. Okay, put on your blindfolds, go to your chat rooms, get ready. And here's the first one. What does the S stand for in Harry S. Truman? This is easy. Oh, I'm getting some answers already. Is it suffering succotash? I'm not seeing the slide, so I'll just talk. Is it Samuel? Is it Sela, the world capital of sidewalk chat riding? That's my personal favorite. Does it stand for absolutely nothing? Does it stand for Stephen? Actually, three people looks like had it right. The correct answer is it stands for nothing. The parents couldn't decide on Shep or Solomon, so they just settled on S, just S for nothing. So that's a good one. All right, 30 presidents have had dogs in the White House. Which recent president did not have a dog? So John, your cat should leave the room for this contest. Barack Obama, Donald Trump, George W. Bush, or Bill Clinton? Next slide, the correct answer is Donald Trump did not have a dog. I'll let you speculate on that. So which state produced the most presidents? Ohio, Massachusetts, Virginia, Delaware, that's a new entry, or New York? The correct answer is, I don't see anybody having it. Correct answer is Virginia, which had 8 presidents. Ohio produced 7. Okay, now this is a real tricky one, so pay attention. Which president visited Yakima in what year? Was it Ivanka Trump in 2025? No, that's in the future. Vicente Fox in 2006. Teddy Roosevelt in 1903. John F. Kennedy in 1962. All right, a couple of people said Teddy Roosevelt, but the correct answer is there's 2. The correct answer was Vicente Fox, who was the Mexican president, and Teddy Roosevelt, who visited North Yakima. All right, for the people who really are focused on dollars and cents, what is the salary of the president? Is it 400,000, 675,000, 250,000, or $175,000 plus overtime? The correct answer, a couple of people got this right. The correct answer is 400,000 plus a lot of money for other things, especially retirement. The best part about being president, if you have at the golf course for the rest of your life, you can cheat and nobody points it out. All right, which president was removed from a school because of his racist thinking? Was it Andrew Johnson at University of North Carolina? Was it Woodrow Wilson at Princeton? Was it Barack Obama at Kenya Polytechnic? Was it George Washington at the former George Washington University? I see a B, a couple Bs. That is the correct answer. The correct answer is Woodrow Wilson at Princeton. The School of Public Affairs dropped his name. Okay, now here's a good one for all the farmers in our club. When President H.W. Bush became president, what delicious, nutritious food did he refuse to eat? Was it Gilbert Orchard's Honeycrisp apples? No, those are quite good. It couldn't be that. Was it Brussels sprouts? Was it broccoli? Was it a Miner's Burgers? Or was it peas? Actually, several people guessed broccoli, which is the correct answer. And there's a slide that shows that. There it is. He said, I'm president. I do not have to eat it. My mom made it, and I'm not going to eat it anymore. So a bunch of broccoli farmers dumped truckloads of broccoli in front of the White House after that. Okay. Now, from my career in journalism, I've had some interactions not close with presidents. So that's the next category here. In college, I shared a house with a direct descendant of a former president. Who was that president? Was it Gerald Ford, James Garfield, Woodrow Wilson, Richard Nixon, Kanye West? The correct answer is not broccoli. Somebody actually got the right answer. It was Garfield. Next slide. So James Garfield had a great-great-grandson whose name is John Garfield, and he revealed it one night when we were playing poker. Okay, here's another one. During a vacation in Palm Springs, I once played golf at the Thunderbird Country Club and hit a ball onto a former president's house. Which president was that? Was it John F. Kennedy? Was it, next slide, was it Dwight Eisenhower? Was it Gerald Ford? Was it Frank Sinatra? Was it Barack Obama? Okay, a lot of 3 people, 4, 5 have said Ford. Next slide. Which is the correct answer. If you look there, there's the cart path. I hit a ball into that roof and it went clang, and I did not get shot. Okay, I once interviewed a president in the cabinet room at the White House. I stole all the White House notepads I could find. Which president did I interview at the White House? Was it Jimmy Carter? Was it George H.W. Bush? Was it George W. Bush? Was it Ronald Reagan? One guess for Bush, one for W, Ford, Jimmy Carter. All right, whoever guessed Jimmy Carter had it right. There I am. I had a lot more hair in those days. Okay, my daughter once sat in the president's chair in the White House Situation Room. That's in the basement where they go when there's a crisis. Which president? Was it Ronald Reagan? Was it Bill Clinton's chair? Was it Barack Obama? Or was it George W. Bush? I'm seeing Ronald Reagan, H.W. The correct answer, next slide, is Bill Clinton. And there's my daughter. Okay, so we've got a bonus question. Next slide there, Dwayne. What national security directive did my daughter issue to a room full of startled military aides? The answer is she declared war on homework. Next slide. My fellow Americans, thank you for playing presidential trivia. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Casey. Appreciate that. It's nice to see all those personalized photos too with you and with your daughter. That's great. All right, next. We've got a fellow Rotarian joining us, I believe from the Upper Kittitas Club, if I'm not mistaken, but Sherry Maruza is here to do our program introduction. Sherry.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for having us here today. I'm really proud to serve on the board of the USO and serving the Executive Director, Commander Don Lingang. I'm just going to read a few highlights from Don's career to share with you all before Don takes it from there. So Don was raised in Tacoma, and he graduated, don't hold it against him, from Oregon State University. And he also received his master's degree from the National Security and Strategic Studies from the Naval War College. He has a 24-year stellar career in the Navy, including flying 2 tours with helicopter combat for Support Squadron. And he retired from the Navy with numerous awards in 2008. Don currently serves, as I mentioned, as the Executive Director of U.S. Northwest. And he also is a lifetime member of both the American Legion and the Veterans of Foreign War. And some of Don's numerous awards includes the Meritorious Award, Service Medal, which he's received 3, the Navy and Marine Corps Commendation Medal, which he's received 6, and the Navy Achievement Medal, and the list goes on and on. So on a personal note, in serving on the board and working with Don, he has a lot of signature roles, and one of them is being famous for Santa Claus. And each December, we greet Gold Star kids from throughout the Pacific Northwest, and send them on a trip to Disneyland. And Don plays the role of Santa as those Gold Star kids pre-boarding. And Don is truly genuine. He has a passion to uplift and serve, and embraces with such a genuine heart our service men and women. So Don, thank you for sharing the USO with our Yakima Rotary.
Okay, very good. I'm assuming everybody can hear me. Okay, perfect. And then I guess you'll have to just, John, you'll just have to kind of like do the slide then, right?
Yes.
Okay, now I have the share screen. I don't know why I didn't have that before, but we'll just do it this way. Okay, so first of all, Don Langang, thank you. Washington native, grew up, as Sherry just mentioned, and didn't know what to do in high school. My counselor said, why don't you join the Navy? So I did. Was going to do that for 4 years, and ended up being 24 years. And so here I am, and I'll continue on. Go ahead and go to the next slide. So this is what I did for the 24 years in the Navy. Loved every day of it. And then since he already went to the third slide, so why the USO? So when I was on active duty, I was in Rhode Island studying for my master's program that the military had, and the Rhode Island was for the Navy master's program. And I was trying to get back to Seattle to see my family, and it was just before wintertime. And this is 2005. And I was a passenger on the flight that the airport is back behind us. And we went through the runway out into the street, or through the airport out in the street, and kind of landed on top of a vehicle there. And so we were out, so you can see the snowflakes very big. So we were outside for about an hour and a half. And when we finally were allowed into the airport, USO volunteers in Chicago at Midway Airport were there to greet us. And I was always, it always made me wonder, why would they do that? They told me they heard the crash and they had walked in snowstorm, some of that were close, and just decided to see if the Americans on the plane were all right. And so I never forgot about that. So 3 years later, now when I'm retiring from the Navy, the first group that contacted me to be the executive director was the USO. And I thought, well, I could do that for 2 years. My mom said, go ahead and do that. You'd be great at it. And so that was 13 years ago. So in the Navy for 4, I lasted for 24, in the USO for 2, and I'm now on 13. So I'm not a very good long range planner, but I have been fortunate to fall into 2 jobs that I absolutely love. Go ahead, next slide. Oh, and just don't have to go back to it, but my presidential trivia was, this was the front page of the Chicago newspapers on December 8th. And then you'd have to guess who recent president was then on the bottom below the fold, as he was then a senator in Illinois at the time, and it was Barack Obama. So that's my claim to fame, is I was above the fold and he was below the fold, just one day out of my life. But anyway, so here's the 6 organizations that make up the USO. And the story is in 41, when President Roosevelt was thinking, how are we going to take care of, we're going to enter into the war, how are we going to take care of the morale of our military? These 6 organizations stepped up and said that they would do that. Because think about it, the Navy was building ships, the Army was building tanks and guns and making uniforms, and there wasn't a lot of money because we were coming out of the Depression. And so you can still see that some of these organizations are still alive and well today, but they are the reason why we have 6 stars on our logo. Go ahead, next. So just when I started in 2008, my first year, we had helped 146,000 military and their family members. And I was like, there has to be more military out there that we can help. And since then, over the last 11, 12 years, we have now grown to over 800,000 military and family members that we assist every year. We do that because we have some of the most dedicated volunteers that you'll ever want to meet, donating over 50,000 volunteer hours. And again, we're not government funded. Some people think US stands for United States Organization, et cetera, but it's not. It stands for, United Service Organizations, the 6 organizations named then that I showed on the previous slide. But we don't receive government funding, but because of the work of the volunteers and all the volunteer hours, we're able to keep our overhead low. And you guys just mentioned that yourself, having the Rotary, having the 2 accounts, the Rotary that you take care of your overhead, and then that you support your organization that you support. And so, but we don't have that, but we are at 92 cents out of every dollar goes to support our programs. So go ahead, next. So I'm going to go quickly through a couple of our centers. I'm sure there has to be someone on the group that maybe has even been to one of our centers. But our first is our CTEC Center. And what you're looking at is a line at 3 in the morning on a flight night. So 3 nights a week, we have flights that go to either mainland Japan, Okinawa, or Korea. And in actuality, it was last night we had people going to Okinawa. But when you tell a young private, say that's a rank in the Marine Corps, to be at the USO for your flight, and you tell him don't be late, he shows up 12, 20 hours early, only to find out that the flight, he doesn't even check into his flight until really about 2:30 to 3 o'clock in the morning. And so literally, this is something that happens 3 nights a week. And the USO is a place that never sleeps, quite frankly. It's one of, out of the 225, this is pre-COVID numbers, out of the 225 USOs throughout the world, we're one of only 8 that are open 24/7, 365. You can go ahead and go to the next slide. So what you're seeing here is a couple things. One, our center is 8,600 square feet. You're seeing the accommodations. There's TVs, there's showers here. You can look to the left, there's some lazy boys, about 40 of those in our center. And you can also see that our Patriot brick program that we will talk about here, and maybe toward the end of the presentation, Sherry, maybe we'll cue it up like we did last time. But you're also, go to the next slide. You're also seeing the floor of the USS Colorado. So the ship was made or commissioned in 1918. And somehow when it was taken apart at the Puget Sound Naval Shipyard, the Boeing company was able to grab the teakwood decking of this actual ship. And they saved it for over 50 years. And when the USO built out this center in 2015, the Boeing company gifted it to us. On the bottom of the screen is a video, which I've shared now that you can share it within your organization. It's the video, and it starts out at Washington, D.C. at the White House. And on December 7th, 2014, it was the main show of the night. And it talks about how the ship fought in World War II, how it battled through adversity. And then the wood was then gifted to the USO. And it's a really nice story. And you can look at that later on at your leisure. But we're very proud that it's over 102 years old. And the plank or the tile that you see in front of us is actual damage that was suffered during World War II as a kamikaze attacked it. So attacked the ship. So if you're ever at SeaTac, you have my name. You can walk in and see some of the great things like this teakwood decking at the USO. Go ahead and go to the next slide. So at SeaTac, you see individuals, family members that are traveling overseas because they have orders to either mainland Japan, Korea, or Okinawa. At Shawley, at our USO Shawley Center, which is named after General John Shawley-Kashvili, who was, and his wife, Joan, he was chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff under President Clinton. They did a lot of work with the USO. And so we named a center after them. But what you see here, and in fact, there's 2,000 military that are deploying this week from Joint Base Lewis McChord. You see them, they're different. Go to the next slide. These are gentlemen that have rifles and men and women, rifles over their shoulder, and they're going somewhere not as nice as the state of Washington or Oregon, right? They're going to go somewhere away from their families for 6 to 9 months. And the USO is the only nonprofit there that can take care of these individuals when they're getting on a plane and saying hello. One of our and there you see the deployment. So they're either over at the USO Center sitting and eating, or they're in this big cavernous hall waiting on their airplane. And with, you can see backpacks and things like that on their way out to the plane. If you could just step back one more slide, just very quickly. I'll tell you about a program that we do monthly, and it's called the No Dough Dinner. And it is called No Dough because we put a dinner on for our military and the military families just before payday, when technically they have no dough in their pockets. And so we find sponsors, and we serve and fix a meal for our military service members. So in other words, if you're a family member and your son or daughter is stationed over at JBLM, you know that at least once or twice a month that the USO is there taking care of our military families with a no dough dinner. Okay, go ahead and skip the next 2 slides. Our second center is Camp Lewis. It's the newest center we opened. We only opened in 2018, and we did it on the 100th anniversary of Fort Lewis, or then it was called Camp Lewis. And so we preserved the name Camp Lewis, and we named it. But it is half a block from where the soldiers go in to check in when they come down to Joint Base Lewis McChord on the Army side. And when they're told they have 3 hours until their next appointment, they're within about 2 minutes, they're knocking on the door at the USO Center, coming in on the computer, eating, drinking, sleeping, relaxing, and things like that. Go ahead, next slide. We have a center, 2 airport centers. One is at SeaTac, what you saw. This is our one down in Portland, which takes care of our military in Southwest Washington, as well as throughout the state of Oregon. And in comparison, the USO at SeaTac sees about 150,000 military and family members a year. Just an enormous number. This USO Center sees about 20,000. The average USO Center sees about 30,000 a year. So if you do the math, you can see that the USO at SeaTac sees about 5 to 7 times as many military and family members a year. Go ahead, next slide. We also have a mobile canteen program. And the reason why we have this is we don't have centers at every base. There's 4 Navy bases that have ships, airplane squadrons that depart. There's military that are at that leave and depart out of the Coast Guard station. And so we bring our mobile canteens on the road, essentially down into Oregon, wherever they're needed. The neat thing about these is they all bring a grill, and we can be down at actually we've been to Yakima a number of times, in the military that are training there at the training grounds. And instead of having to eat a meal ready to eat, or many people know it as an MRE, we will bring out hot dogs in a grill and feed those that are training in the field. So we probably go through about 10,000 hot dogs a month at the USO. So if anybody here is a hot dog dealer, get my name and number and call me afterwards, because I'm interested to talk to you. Here you can see that we're mobile. We're at the pier at Bremerton in this case. The lady just behind in the red jacket, that's actually Joan Shawley Kashvili. She was the one I just mentioned that has a center named after her. She's a USO volunteer, and trust me, she is an amazing volunteer and at many, many events. Go ahead, go to the next one. So quickly, a couple things that we've done for COVID-19, because we have not been able to be open 24/7 at SeaTac or some of our other centers, just because of COVID and bringing in more people and 6 feet apart and all that kind of thing. So go ahead and go to the next one. The next slide. So one of the things that we were able to do is the Nimitz came back from a 6-month deployment, and guess what? Their family members are on the pier, but the sailors couldn't leave. They were quarantined for 14 days to make sure that they didn't, have any, spread the COVID virus to anybody, because they had little pockets of COVID-19 on the ship. So the CEO, who's the gentleman looking dead onto the TV, he contacted me and he said, look, my morale is horrible. What can you do to support? And so we came up with Trace Atkins doing a performance for them. And you can see the CEO, the XO with his back to us, and the Command Master Chief there. And it also gives you kind of a nice look at what the Nimitz, this is where the CEO lives. So you can see that as well. So we did a concert for them. Go to the next slide. We did a second concert. We have a young lady that's a friend of the USO, was a music award winner. And what you see here is that even though they were on the ship, they still they were quarantined, but they were watching the concerts just from their phones and iPads and things like that. So we were able to bring a little bit of a concert or morale boosting experience to the ship while they were waiting. Go ahead, next. So during COVID-19, we get $1 million of donated Girl Scout cookies. Coca-Cola reached out to us and gave us like 6 semis of Coca-Cola. Starbucks gives us coffee. Tim's Cascade Chips gives us chips. And we have been bringing that ever since March out to all the military units throughout the Northwest. The photo on the right-hand side is when if you remember, when they were going to create the military hospital at CenturyLink. Well, we answered the call. We brought them a bunch of cookies, pallets of soda, etc. So we've probably given out about $200,000 worth of, maybe even more than that so far, just to military units in need. Because when the military's been traveling, a lot of them, when they come back, they have been quarantined, even if it's onesie twosies. And so we still continue to support those that are quarantined, etc., and the family members. Go ahead, next slide. One of the things that we've changed, I talked about the no-dough dinner. Well, we've had to go with a touchless no-dough dinner. So we grabbed different partners in the community. In this case, Gary Sinise was one and Chick-fil-A was another. And you can see the cars were lined up for miles. And we delivered, each time we do this, we deliver like 500 different meals. So it kind of gives mom or dad, the children, a way to get out of the house, a way to not quarantine and just drive through. We hand them bags and then they move on. So we've been doing that once or twice a month since March. Go ahead, next. So one thing that Sherry will probably add on here, but since she's joined the board, she's brought in what they call a full circle tribute. And it's to bring the USO message to Eastern Washington, essentially Eastern and Central Washington. And so this is just her slide, and she'll probably talk to you a little bit about it. In fact, invite members of Rotary to come to the event. So Sherry, I don't know if you want to just hop in a little bit on that, or if you want me to continue.
Yeah, so living here in Eastern Washington, proud of Eastern Washington, we have Fairchild, and they're very interested in getting a USO center that should be coming to fruition possibly next year. But given our footprint of military throughout Eastern Washington and our patriotism, I created this very powerful hour-and-a-half event that we're going to be hosting. Well, we were supposed to do it this year, but moving to a new date next year at the Yakima firing range. And it's nothing like you'll ever see before. The video, the military bands, the flags are everywhere of all branches of our military, and of course our flag, the country's flag. And it's just really a tribute to our military's men and women in those regions. Keynote speakers, and it's just a really patriotic event. So it will be coming to the Yakima Valley once we can, work around COVID. We'll head down to Walla Walla. We do Wenatchee, Moses Lake. We're making that whole loop, Spokane. We did the first one last year at Suncadia. It was a resounding success, and we look forward to working with the Yakima Chambers, Berlin, and who's been really an advocate with us for this, and it'll be coming to Yakima, so you'll be hearing about that.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next slide. So I'm going to talk just briefly about a couple of programs we have. The first one is the Bob Hope Legacy Reading Program. And what you see on the TV is a military member reading a bedtime story to his children. Because one of the things that the USO wants to connect is military and their families with their children, their spouses, etc. So this is just one way that you can do this. Any military member can go into a USO, grab a book off the shelf. We bring them in a silent room. We run a camera for them. They read Green Eggs and Ham or Hop on Pop or whatever, right? That they want to do that. Then we send the video and the book to the children and the spouse at home. Very powerful. But let me tell you, 10 years ago, there was a Navy sailor from Seattle who was deployed he was deployed overseas. I'll just say that, right? You figure that one out. But he went on patrol and he did the reading. 4 days later, he went on patrol and he never came home. So the family, he had 2 children, a daughter that was 3 and a son that was 1.5. And the family was all wondering, hadn't heard from him, trying to figure out what is going on with dad. Well, the Seattle media was all over the family, trying to knock on the door, trying to get an interview. And so they actually had to post police tape so they wouldn't be bothered. Well, the postman, about a week later, had a package addressed from the father. And, sorry, hold on a minute. And it was the reading that the father did. And he knocked on the door and he said, "This looks important. I don't mean to bother you, but I think you should view it." And so the kids and the wife viewed this United Through Reading or Bob Hope Legacy Reading. And the grandmother then said 3 seconds after the video ended, the chaplain knocked on the door and gave the family the sad news. But the nice thing is that those kids are now 13 and 11. I still see them at the Christmas, Gary Sinise Christmas event that Cherry alluded to, and they still have the video of their father and are so thankful for that. And I apologize. That's why I'm in the right job that I am right now. Next, please. Our Helping Hands program. This is something that our military, they're not allowed to go into a Safeway or a Costco and say, "Hey, can you loan me $100? I'd like to buy a cake because our military unit is coming back from Afghanistan." But they can ask the USO, and we're the only USO that has this program, and we have it because I feel like it is very important. It's part of keeping family connected to the military. And so as you can see that we give out, it helps almost 100,000 people every year. We give out about $75,000 a year with this program. And we do it because we were able to have support from throughout the Washington and Oregon and various companies that just want to give and so give back to the military. And this is an opportunity for them to do that. So very wonderful that we have corporate support, and we're always looking for new partners for this program. Go ahead, next. The last couple of slides. This is just an example of a couple of things that the USO has helped fund. It doesn't have to be a soldier, but it could be while the unit's deployed and spouse has all the children and they want to do something, and we will help in that event. So go ahead, next. So the USO has been around for almost 80 years. In February is their 80th anniversary. And so after World War II, they wanted to shut all the USOs down because there was no need to have a USO anymore. The last war was done. And so they asked the military, took a exit poll, why did you go there? And this is why I love the USO. It's so simple. They came there to eat, to sleep, to rest and relax, to write a letter and take a shower. But I love it because 80 years later, it's still the same simple thing, right? The only thing they're not doing is writing letters, but they're Skyping and emailing, right? And so the service member doesn't ever ask for anything. In fact, if they get a free hot dog, they're like, "What? I don't have to pay for this?" No, you don't. And I feel like we're a direct reflection of the American society that cares about the military. And so I feel like I'm an extension of your goodness that you're letting me talk to you today. Go ahead, the last slide. So here, just a couple things. If anybody ever wanted to make a donation, you do that through our secure server there at that website. Some people have asked about planned giving and how can I leave something for the USO? And so there's a link to do that as well, or just a tax deductible end of the year gift. One of the things that we talked at the Ellensburg Rotary yesterday is, sir, I don't know if you can go back to when we talked about CTAC, where we have the bricks on the wall, but what has happened when we were building this USO Center at SeaTac, where I am today, keep going about 3 more slides, is we were trying to, there you go, we were trying to figure out how can we raise $2 million in a year so we can build out this center. This center was actually in the condemned part of the airport and no one had used it for 10 years. And so we needed to raise over $2 million to build out the center. So one of the things that we thought we would do is we would have the larger bricks that you can see that look like a square. It's an 8x8 square. And we would charge, or my board wanted to charge $10,000 for this. This is pre-Sherry Marusa, by the way. And then $5,000 for the 4x8 bricks that are down at the bottom and up on the top. Well, I wanted to do that, right? My father was a Marine. I was raised like a good Marine would raise his kids. And so I wanted to honor him, his service. And so we ended up making it $475 if you had a brick with a logo, $450 if you just had writing, and then $250 if you have the smaller brick. So if you can see to the right of the TV, there's a PCL logo there for $475, some writing next to that or below it and next to it. And then, so what we've done is essentially we've gone from selling maybe 20 bricks at $10,000 to now we have over 700 bricks at all of our centers. And they all tell a story. Trust me, there is people that come in. It's almost like the Vietnam Wall where people come in and see how their family has been honored. I can tell you story after story, but I know I don't have time to do that. But trust me, there's some that recognize World War I service members, World War II families, Marine, Navy, Army. There's members that volunteers that have had their family killed in action, and they've told us we bought this brick because we can think of no better place to honor our husband, our son, our daughter, etc. that is died in the military. And so I think Sherry wants to talk a little bit about it, but what we told the Ellensburg yesterday is if anybody wanted to do a brick, that we would collectively bring them together and then put them on a wall together. So if they ever came in or we took photos and sent it to you, it'd all be collectively together and we could do that. So
I will be forwarding, or Dawn, to Jennifer the form and different sizes for the tile. And so I'm encouraging, well, the Ellensburg Rotary, of course, the Upper Kittitas County Rotary Club, and it would be really amazing to see Eastern Washington Rotary on the USO wall, and whatever tribute you want to make. Our family bought one. We had nobody in the military, but we just did one to say thank you to you for your service to our country. So you could really customize it to whatever you would like, whether to honor someone or just pay tribute as a thank you. And I would just like to toss that out at some point as a Christmas gift or something, that the Yakima Rotary proudly buys a tile and pays tribute to our military as well. Not an ask today, but I will send the information just to mention it.
So my parting comment, and if there's questions, I'll certainly take those. But I mean, it's almost Veterans Day. I so appreciate getting the opportunity to talk to your group. The USO, like I said, I thought I'd do it for a couple of years, and it's just the most heartwarming organization. I can't tell you how many times I've just brought to tears just because of the simplicity, because of all that we can help. And so thank you for just letting me explain a little bit about our programs. I so appreciate it.
And in closing for the USO briefly, one of the programs that the USO adopted, that Dawn and the board, working with some of our professional Seahawk players, we created a program for the Gold Star kids of Washington State. And as of today, we have 349 Gold Star kids whose dad have been killed in the line of duty from birth up until 18 age, when they graduate sort of out of the Gold Star Kids program. So if you go onto the USO Northwest and look at the Jermaine Curse Gold Star Kids program, we provide activities for the Gold Star kids to get together, to get to know each other. It's not a club you want to belong to. They're not all from the same school districts or communities. We've taken over 60 Gold Star kids to Washington, D.C., so they can see that we are truly a grateful nation with the different monuments. And 2 of our Gold Star kids from Washington, fathers were buried there and never had been to their burial site. We provide activities for them to go do a lot of different things in the state 3 times a year. And like one of the Gold Star kids, he said, I didn't know there were other kids like me. And that was very powerful, that we can talk. And he says, you know, they call me Nana. They say, you know, Nana, they said they wanted to kill our dads. And that, I'll never forget that conversation. He goes, you know, my friend's dad was killed in a car wreck, or my friend lost his dad with cancer, and I get that. But my dad knew somebody wanted to kill them, and yet he went, and I really miss my dad. And just to give you a real quick highlight, one of the Gold Star kids, Russell Wilson, is a partner with us, and he provides free access to his Passing Academy or events for children to Gold Star kids. And one of the mothers wrote a letter and says, you don't understand, for 7 years, my son would never talk about his dad. But because of the USO Northwest now and these Gold Star Kids program, after my son experienced some of these activities and met other Gold Star kids, he says, Mom, I need to talk to my dad. And she says, I took him to the cemetery. I'll send this letter to you, Jennifer, so you can share it with the Rotarians. She said, I took him to the cemetery and my son finally wept and he let it all out, but he shared with his dad what he's doing. So that's the impact of the USO and the programs that they do. And, you know, I just encourage you all to every day pause and reflect for the ultimate sacrifice made for our nation. And I thank you for letting us be a part of the Yakima Rotary today.
Well, it's absolutely our pleasure to have you both with us to learn more about the USO. And in honor of you coming today, we are going to be making a donation in your name to Yakima Rotary Charities. And again, just thank you so much. I'm going to continue on with our program and our formal adjournment, but if you're willing to stay on, if there are any questions after the formal adjourn time, we'd welcome that. So next up with our Rotarians, our Going Places segment is Connie Phelan. Connie.
Better unmute. Thank you for that program. That was absolutely amazing. And I help celebrate Rotarians are going places, but now I want to honor those that have already gone places. And I don't know if you're aware, but we have 31 members in our Yakima Downtown Rotary that have been a part of the different military services. And now I'd like to just announce their names and honor them and thank them for their service. And hit it. All right, you can see United States Coast Guard. We have Jim Berg, our one and only woman. Yes, Janine Corcoran, Ken Marble. Thank you for your service. The next one is the United States Air Force, Mal Arnett, Bill Harrison, Glenn Rice. Thank you so much for your service. United States Navy, Steve Altmeyer, Rick Gross, Monsignor John Ecker, Jim Fitch, Kurt Laberton, Mike Latimer, Greg Luring, and Bill Rich. Thank you for your service. United States Marines, Brad Hill and Russ Mazzola. Thank you for your service. United States Army, we have a whole list. Jim Abenhouse, Neil Buren, Carter Field, Bob Hall, Chris Hauge, Jim Haven, Mike Izella, Mike Johnson, Stan Martinkus, Barry McCaffrey, Bob Newstand, Rick Pinnell, John Place, Jim Russi, and Greg Stewart. Thank you all so much for your service and keeping our freedoms here in the U.S. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Connie, for that. Next week's program, I think, is going to be quite timely. We have Charles Ross going to be speaking about how the election has gone for the Yakima Auditor's Office. Can't wait to hear his comments on that. Following is Robert Dugoni, who is the author and is one of our fellow honorary Rotarians. He's going to speak on the magic of writing. And then after that, can you believe it? It's Thanksgiving and there's no meeting that week. So with that, we are formally adjourned. And if anyone would like to stay on for a question and answer period with our speakers, please feel free to do so and unmute. Thank you all.